Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, Oscar De La Hoya said he wants to make a big comeback to boxing, and he wants a big elite level name at 154 or 160. Now, Amir Khan has thrown his hat into the mix for that fight with Oscar De La Hoya. Now, Amir Khan is a 147 fighter, but he has found it difficult making that weight previously, especially after his comeback from that Canelo fight, where he had 2 years out of the ring, maybe went up and down weight a little bit, and then obviously had to come back, make 150 against Philo Greco, then tried to slot back in at 147. But he even struggled making 150. So maybe Amir Khan can fight at 154. He would not be a big guy at that weight, but ultimately maybe that could be a weight for Amir Khan, especially for an Oscar De La Hoya fight, because that is what Amir Khan wants. Amir Khan explained that when he signed for Golden Boy in, 2009, he never believed that he could be in a position to maybe fight Oscar De La Hoya. Now it seems like that could be a genuine possibility. Now, is it a good idea for Oscar De La Hoya to be fighting at 47? Well, the age, in my opinion, isn't the problem. It's the 12 years of inactivity. That is the problem with Oscar De La Hoya. Because I just don't believe you can have 12 years out of the ring, 12 years of inactivity, no sparring, training maybe not so much, and just come back and ultimately take over again. It's not going to work that way. Yes, at that age, you can still be fighting. Bernard Hopkins is a testament to that. World champion at 49 years old. So I don't believe age is a factor. I never really buy into that. I think that it is the wear and tear on the fighter, making weight, and then having a fight just a day later. Oscar De La Hoya was renowned for getting down to low weight. He was making like 130, and now he's thinking about coming back at 154, 160. I know that he's older and gotten bigger, filled out a bit more, but ultimately when you are draining down to that kind of weight, then having a fight, that takes a big toll on the body. I remember Oscar De La Hoya saying that when he was trying to make weight, he would drink no water, no food, and that wasn't just on the day of making weight, that was days before that as well. All he would do was have one orange and just suck on that orange to try and make weight, get down to, 130, because Oscar De La Hoya is like 5'10", 5'11", and he's quite a stocky guy as well. So making that kind of weight was extremely difficult for Oscar De La Hoya, yet he's still done it, then had a fight a couple of days later. So that takes a toll on the body and puts miles on the clock. That is why it is worrying to see him coming back at 47 years old, because when he retired against Manny Pacquiao in 2008, he retired on his stool, saying the words, "I can't do this anymore." That's what he said 12 years ago when he retired on his stool and from the sport of boxing in 2008. 12 years ago. Now he wants to make a comeback and fight someone who's at the top level at 154 or 160. These guys are so much bigger now than they were then. They are like, some of them 6 foot in the 154 division. I know that Oscar De La Hoya is not a small guy necessarily, but ultimately I just don't see how he can make a big comeback and fight the best of today. He could make a comeback and fight someone who's a similar age to him, like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. are doing, fair enough. But coming back and fighting someone who's an elite level fighter and at the top currently is not a good idea for Oscar De La Hoya. Now, of course, Amir Khan has been the only one who has really come out and said that he wants to fight Oscar De La Hoya, and he is, 33 years old. But again, it's not just about the age, because Amir Khan could seem not young, but he's not old either. So he's in that sort of midpoint of his career. But the thing is with Amir Khan is he peaked at a very young age. He was a world champion at 25? So he was a world champion and peaked very early on in his career. So ultimately he's already had that peak and he's past that pinnacle. So there is no disputing that Amir Khan is past his best. Should he be in there with Oscar De La Hoya though? No, I don't believe so, because Amir Khan is an active fighter. Oscar De La Hoya is not. So for Amir Khan to say that he wants another world title opportunity, he wants to make it back to the top of the sport of boxing, then says he wants to fight a retired legend, retired of 12 years, who is coming back, that's not a good sign for Amir Khan or Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya, because it's not really safe, it's a bit dangerous for him to be doing that, And for Amir Khan, wanting to get back to the top of the sport, then fighting someone who hasn't had a fight in, as I said before, 12 years. So what is Amir Khan thinking by trying to get into the ring with Oscar De La Hoya? It's just not a good idea for either party. And it's not for me to say that Oscar De La Hoya should not be doing this. He's a legend of the sport. He should do what he wants. But I just don't think that this would be beneficial to Oscar De La Hoya to be getting back into the ring against someone who is in the top level at 154 or 160. Even Amir Khan, I don't believe that Oscar De La Hoya should be in there with those kind of fighters. If he wants to fight again, it should be someone who is at the similar stage of life that he is and had the hard fights, making weight, then fighting a couple of days later like he has had to during his career. I just don't want to see Oscar De La Hoya in there with someone he should not be in there against. And that is a Charlo, that is a Jarrett Hurd, that is a Erizandi Lara. Those type of fighters at the top of their division, he should not be in there with those kind of fighters. That's just the way it is. Now, we've heard words of encouragement from Oscar De La Hoya saying that he's faster than ever. His jab is better and faster than ever. He is powerful. He is looking great in the gym. He is outperforming some younger fighters. He can do what they cannot. They are not at the level he was, say, 20 years ago. But no disrespect, neither is he. He's not the same fighter he was 20 years ago. Not just down to age, the miles on the clock, as I explained earlier. Those miles on the clock for Oscar De La Hoya have caught up with him. That is the reason why he can no longer do what he used to do. Training is one thing. Jab and speed in the gym is one thing. Putting it into motion against a top elite level fighter of today is completely another thing. But guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.